Set to go then, aren't we, for another run around the Red Bull Ring. Hello everybody, welcome to round 9 of the 2023 FIA Formula 1 World Championship, coming to you from the Red Bull Ring, the A1 Ring or the Oostenrijk Ring, whatever your personal name for it. It's usually round about the same, but this incredible racetrack has provided us with so many great races, and this weekend looks to be yet another. Rain incoming, and when it rains here at the short track of Spielberg, we are in for chaos. Max Verstappen, he's our championship leader by quite a lot to Sergio Perez. The big question is, can he keep that advantage? Perez isn't here today after not feeling too well. He'll be back for tomorrow, but so much to look forward to. We're going to be hearing from the drivers in the press conference shortly. I will be handing over to the one and only Tom Clarkson.
A very warm welcome to the drivers' press conference ahead of the FIA Formula 1 Austrian Grand Prix. We have two groups coming your way, as ever. Here is Group 1, closest to me, Logan Sargent, then Zhou Guanyu, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly and Carlos Sainz. A very warm welcome to you all. Carlos, if we could start with you, please. Hope all's good. Now, can we throw it back to Canada first of all? Just how much of a boost was that race after a difficult Saturday?
I think it was a good boost for the whole team, mainly looking at the race pace after a couple of difficult races where we were struggling with race pace. Finally in Canada we seem to have good race pace. Also the fact that we were going forward in the race and not going backwards makes a bit of a difference also for the perception of things, no? Because we actually finished 4th and 5th. That is a very similar result than in the other race weekends that we've had, but the perception, the way that we were on the race, the pace was definitely different, which was good news, and yeah, a boost of motivation for the whole team.
You managed to control your tyre degradation very well during the race. How did you manage that? Breakthrough?
Same than any other race weekend. Just have a lower deck circuit, which helps us for sure. It just shows, no, that when you have a good race car, when your tire management is good, also the strategy is simpler. It's easier to make the strategy work. So yeah, that's what we are focusing on, no? To make sure that we focus on the race pace, make sure that we have more often the car of Canada than the car of Barcelona, and that will help us to, in the races, move forward, make our strategy more flexible, and have obviously more fun in the race.
You went to Canada on the back of a Pirelli tyre test at Barcelona. I was wondering if you'd found anything in that test that helped you with tyre management in Canada.
No, unfortunately, or fortunately for Pirelli, we were testing the new no blankets tires, which obviously you cannot learn much or apply much for our situation this year. Obviously, I still prefer to run, still prefer to do the test, and there's always things, you know, that you can try with your driving, etc. But it's not like in this test you can actually really test anything or put something in place for the race weekend.
Okay, final one from me, Carlos. You're running upgrades this weekend in Spielberg. What are you expecting from them?
Well, another step in the right direction. This is definitely the target. The team back in Maranello has done an incredible effort to bring them forward to this race. I cannot thank enough, you know, the people back in Maranello with the extra hours that everyone's put in to try and revert the situation and trying to put those extra minutes, extra hours of work to make these parts arrive. It's been a huge effort by everyone, and from here I wanted to to congratulate them and tell them that we're gonna do our best to make them work well, and hopefully they are all worth it and we can be competitive this weekend.
In terms of lap time?
I'll tell you when I test them and I can feel them.
All right. Good luck. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Pierre, coming to you now. Some big news with regards Alpine this week. A 200 million euro investment in the team. In layman's terms, what does that mean for Alpine?
What does that mean? Well, that means that, we obviously got more investments. But what it means, I think, is just the vision of the team, of Alpine, of the Renault Group, of the Formula One team to expand, to improve for the future in Formula One, and try to use the expertise of these people that are coming on board. 3 big funds, got Otro, Redbird, and obviously Maximum Efforts joining on board, and they got a really good expertise in also other sports, NFL, NHL, in football, in many other disciplines that we'll be trying to use as much as we can to improve our strength.
One of the investors is Hollywood star Ryan Reynolds. Are you a fan? Looking forward to meeting him?
I must say I'm personally a fan of him and his work. I think he's definitely one of my favorite actor. And yeah, definitely super excited to meet him at some point during the season. Yeah.
Now, can we talk about qualifying? In Canada, you were balked by the man on your right. It's a very short lap here in Austria. Are we going to see more problems like that in qualifying here? And what can you as a driver do to prevent that?
Stay away from Carlos. I think that's the no, I mean it's always tricky. Obviously, in Canada it really impeded and had a pretty big impact on our whole race weekend. I think as a driver, you always try to do your best. There are some tracks which are very easy to control the traffic, some others which are way more difficult. Montreal is one of these tracks which is tricky. Austria is going to be bad, and I think in this specific track, everyone as a team, from drivers to engineers to everyone that can help and support us inside the car to do a better job, will have to be on their top game, because it's a short track, 4 kilometers, everybody trying to get gaps. But yeah, then you don't want to impede anyone and affect. I was on the other side in Barcelona with Carlos. Then Carlos, was the role were reversed in Canada, and sometimes it does penalize your entire weekend. It's not only just qualifying, but from the moment you start 17 at the back of the grid, it just changes the entire philosophy of your race. So yeah, it's gonna be tricky, but yeah, hopefully everyone's gonna manage it in the best way they can.
If you get a clean run this weekend, what's possible?
I think at the moment we trying to get consistently in the top 8. We are like just on the edge. Sometimes we're in the fight for like closer to the top 5. But I think it's really trying to get a clean weekend, which we didn't have on my side for the last few races. So really going to be the main focus. Obviously have a sprint race, which allows us to potentially score more points. A different format, so no, it's gonna be interesting. But the pack is working. We have pace in the car. We got speed. We got a good race car on Sundays as well. But just need to have a clean run. Yeah.
All right. Good luck with that. Thank you, Fernando. Coming to you now. Aston Martin introduced a significant upgrade last time out in Montreal. This is a very different kind of racetrack. So, in terms of performance, what are you expecting?
I don't know really. I think we have to see tomorrow in the free practice how the car feels, how competitive we can be this weekend. I think we have different performance in Barcelona and Canada, different feeling with the car. So yeah, hopefully we are closer to Canada kind of performance, and try to exploit a little bit more the package, because in Canada I think the weekend was very short after the cancellation of FP1. So it's going to be a very short weekend again here, only FP1, but hopefully we can test a few things on the car.
Now, you were 9 seconds behind Max Verstappen in Canada. Do you feel the gap between Aston and Red Bull Racing is coming down, or do you think that was track specific?
I don't know. I think we need to wait for different layouts, different circuit, because as I said, in Barcelona just 2 weeks before Canada, we were 55 seconds or 1 minute behind the leaders. So I think it was track specific. It was a very good weekend for us, but I don't know. I hope we can close that gap. Yes.
Okay, that's Red Bull. What about your battle with Ferrari and Mercedes? How do you see that playing out this weekend?
Well, that's definitely more interesting for us. I think Red Bull is in their own league at the moment this year. So for us, it is important to score points with both cars in every weekend, and try to keep up the fight with Mercedes and Ferrari, which obviously is still hard to believe for us. That we are in this battle. When we start the season in Bahrain, we were definitely not expecting to be up there, and now we are just enjoying every weekend, and it's good to be in this battle.
All right, enjoy this one. Thank you, Fernando. Now, Joe, coming to you. Since we last saw you, you've been enjoying Paris Fashion Week. Just tell us a little bit about that. You enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, kept me busy. Went there for a sponsor of mine, which is Dior, and I think Pierre was there as well. Day before that, so had a enjoyable time over there and seeing a few friends as well. And now back obviously to racing, and hopefully that can climb what we've been left off 3 weeks ago, because Canada one for me was kind of a one try to forget and try to learn from that.
Look, we'll come on to the on-track side of things in a minute. Just one more question about your interest in fashion. Where did it come from, and in years to come, would you be interested in having, I don't know, your own label?
That's in the plan of maybe when I'm retiring or on Fernando's age, maybe I can start doing something like that. But right now, obviously, the main focus is racing. But besides from that, I obviously had a high interest. My family, my mother used to be one of the designer back in the days, as maybe I get that from her. So I always had a high interest. Obviously, Formula One is just a bigger platform for me to be a bit more myself and try to spread out into the fashions. But I'm happy to obviously designing some cool stuff that to wear your own clothes. I think that's definitely the coolest thing can be happen.
Well, look, good luck with that if it happens. But just on the on-track side of things, you say Canada was a race to forget for you, but Valtteri finished in the points, backing up your points finish in Spain, the race before. Just how good have these last 2 races been for the team?
I think it's definitely a further step up. Like we said, in Monaco, we was introduced this new package, and obviously it hasn't been an upgrade since then, but it's clearly worked much better in higher speed track. Even though Montreal is a medium low speed track, it seems to be working in the right direction. And then hopefully that just brings us forward more competitive fight. Even though I think it's very close between us, Haas, and the Williams fighting behind for the constructor championship, but we are closing the gap, and it's nice to see that both cars are able fighting at least in the point positions. Where let's say after Bahrain we seems to be missing a little bit pace. Now we was able just to find a bit back to normal, fighting for the last 2 positions in top 10. So it's a good step forward, and we're looking forward to convert that into hopefully a double points finish very soon together on track.
Right, good luck with that. Thank you. And Logan, thank you for waiting. So just how excited are you to be back at the Red Bull Ring where you've enjoyed so much success in the past?
Yeah, it's been a good one to me in the past. Obviously, been not the easiest last couple races, so the plan is to get back on track. Seems like the upgrade's working well, so hopefully we can get things moving in the right direction and rebound on a track that's been good to me in the past.
You're going to get the upgrades on your car this weekend. What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I think from what I've spoken to Alex about it, it seems like the characteristics of the car are relatively similar, which is good for me because it's not like I'm driving a whole new car, but at the same time just more compliance, it's quicker, more downforce, so it's just better all around.
And do you expect this layout to suit the FW45?
Yeah, I don't think it should be too bad. I think it's one that will be, on the better side for us. It's still going to be a challenge for sure, but hopefully we can we can use everything. It's a sprint weekend. Weather conditions look a little bit tricky as well. So yeah, we'll do our best to keep ourselves in the fight.
Look, how much are you looking forward to the sprint? Because Baku was a slightly inconclusive one for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But honestly, I enjoy it. I don't mind having the one session straight into qualifying. I was even enjoying the sprint qualifying the next day. Obviously, it didn't end well, but yeah, for the most part, it's good. It gives us, more, in my opinion, opportunity under pressure, which is nice, and also to have 2 races is good for me to keep learning.
All right. Best of luck this weekend. Thank you, Logan. Let's now open this to the floor. Name and publication, please. Yep. First question.
Thank you very much. David Croft, Sky Sports F1. It's a question to everyone, really. Afternoon, gentlemen. I don't know if you're going to have a driver's briefing before qualifying or not this weekend, but as we've got a quarter of the grid with us, how are we going to sort the traffic out for qualifying? How do you go into a qualifying session knowing that speed differences could be rather large here and people could get impeded? Do you try and have a chat beforehand? Do you try and form a plan so that no one gets impeded or not? Or is it just part and parcel now of the way Formula One qualifying is going to work out?
David, I'm sorry, I don't think we've got time for everybody now, but let's get a few thoughts on that. Fernando, can we start with you?
Yeah, it is a topic every weekend, especially in short circuits. I don't know. There are a few options to improve this. One is single lap qualifying, like in the past. That would be ideal, in my opinion, because only one car on track and full TV coverage for that lap, for everyone's sponsors and things like that. And that created a little bit of drama in case of weather change in between qualifying. You could see in pole position different cars, different names. So that was, I think, my preferred option. You can split the grid like junior formulas they do in Monaco and things like that. But yeah, it is a topic now.
Pierre, we heard from you earlier on this. So Carlos, please, your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the shorter term solution would be to at least do Q1 on a split 10 car, one from each team qualifying group. Then I think by Q2 the traffic already improves quite a bit. Q3 is not a problem, so it would be only short tracks, Q1s, maybe divide the session by half and do 8 minutes with one group, 8 minutes with another group. Anyway, it shouldn't affect because the performance of the cars are split. And yeah, that's the shorter term solution. The single lap qualifying may be something to experiment with, as Fernando said, also maybe in sprint weekends as to try if it would work. I personally, I was a big fan of it because I do like that feeling of suddenly having the whole track for you and having the pressure to perform only in one lap. I think that would be really good fun for us, I think for our sponsors and for everyone, but maybe for the TV would be a bit boring for you, but I don't know.
No, it'd be brilliant.
Depends on the technology. You also have to animate that single lap. If you could put a ghost car of the fastest lap, I think with the technology that we have nowadays, something like that could be achievable with the mini sectors, with the ghost cars, with that kind of stuff that I think we should look into.
Let's do one more. Joe, please.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much add everything with ideas, but these days I think the driver rely a lot on mirrors and engineers. Obviously with the speed travel Red Bull Ring, it's going to be very difficult for us to, especially when there's a massive train going to the second last corner. But yeah, coming into the future, I think these ideas could be a way forward. Also, there could be idea on the dash, maybe you get to see when is the next car, how many seconds close by you in the future development on the dash in the system wise. But that's pretty much everything I can think of.
Okay, so some good points there. One, I like the idea of having a one-shot qualifying going into the sprint weekends. I think that gives it some well-needed oomph for the procedure. Two, I really like the idea of having a ghost car in front, but not all the lap. I think that's going to spoil it a little bit because then, as a commentator, you've got to focus on the one lap. But I like the idea of having the fastest drivers' sector times on the screen and then showing this driver's sector times, if you get what I mean. So a little bit of a competition there. That works quite well. We had single qualifying for a couple of years, 2003, 4 and 5 we had it. And everyone liked it. We went then to the knockout format we've got now, which is perfect. But I would say the single qualifying format was the second most favourite of them all. So I think if we've got to bring them one back for a sprint, why have another knockout qualifying, which you've had the day before? So it'll take 45 minutes. That's the current one for the sprint. One set of tyres, 1 lap. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a single lap shootout. I don't get why that should be the rule. In fact, I hope they change it for the next sprint race, which is Spa. Let's have a single lap shootout in the morning, followed then by the sprint. I think that's absolutely brilliant as well. Just had a quick news as well. The qualifying has actually been tweaked this weekend. The format has been tweaked, so you can't use intermediate tyres anymore if it's dry. So do you remember Lando Norris and Yuki Tsunoda? They had no soft tyres left. If either of them got through to the next session, they would have gone out on intermediate tyres to run the fastest time on those to see who start 9th and 10th. That's now gone. So you can use any other tyre. And Oscar Piastri apparently has just said only Lando Norris will get the new McLaren upgrade package this weekend. So only Lando is going to be in the new McLaren for this weekend's Grand Prix, which is okay. Sergio Perez not here, not feeling too well. He's hopefully be back tomorrow. Don't forget, with it being sprint weekend, he sort of has to be here tomorrow. No driver can stand in for him for practice number 1. So they've got to be here for that. Then into qualifying, then into the sprint shootout, then into the sprint race, then going forward as well for the Grand Prix on Sunday. It's going to be a very complicated weekend. We've got several other series that we have to take up to as well in top honours. So we're waiting. We're waiting to see what it's going to be. Also, as you can probably tell, look, that's perfect now. Look at what's happened. Just because it doesn't go that close to us. It just goes here, and it's been sun bleached a little bit. So we're replacing the blue. We're going to go to black, we think. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. Second part of the drivers' press conference coming up now as well. We'll hand back over to Tom Clarkson. Lewis Hamilton's been in there too. He's been talking to the World Feed. We'll hear from that tomorrow to see what's going to happen. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what we're going to have in terms of a race strategy. The rain looks like it's coming in as well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So a lot of wet weather. Big chance of it affecting the sprint race. So that could be fun. But it's time to hand back over now to Tom Clarkson for the second half of the drivers' press conference here on F1.
Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of our drivers' press conference here at the Red Bull Ring. Closest to me, George Russell, then Nico Hulkenberg, then the Dutch contingent, Nick de Vries and Max Verstappen, and of course, Oscar Piastri on your left. George, can we start with you? Sorry to remind you, but it was an unfortunate end to your race in Canada. But let's focus on the positives and just tell us, were you pleasantly surprised by the pace of the car last time out?
Yeah, definitely. I think going from it's a nice replay you got there. Appreciate that. It was. I think going from Barcelona, which is probably a circuit that suited us down to a T, then to Canada, a totally opposite circuit, to see that we still had pretty good pace fighting with the Astons. Max didn't seem too far ahead either. Things are definitely going in the right direction, so this will be another interesting weekend. Sprint race, never straightforward, but I think as a team we're making really good progress.
Do you think the characteristics of the Red Bull Ring will suit your car better than Montreal?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it will suit us better than Montreal. I think Silverstone will be slightly step in the right direction again, more similar to Barcelona. But as I said, we're developing really, really well at the moment. The team back at Brackley, the team here are doing an exceptional job to improve what we've got and try and close that gap.
Now, both Mercedes and Aston Martin looked a little bit closer to Red Bull last time out. Is that the reality of the situation, or are they still 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of you?
I mean, it feels like to a degree they're coming a little bit closer to us. So I think when you look at the average compared to the whole field, for whatever reason, it seems like Red Bull may have taken a small step back. But when they're 3 steps ahead, they're now 2 steps ahead. So they've still got a lot of margin. I think I was told recently, or just about half an hour ago, that I think they've won the last 17 out of the 18 races. So they're cruising at the moment. They're doing a really good job, but hopefully it's not too long until we can turn the tide.
It was you who broke their run in Brazil last year, wasn't it? Look, final one from me, George. Both you and Lewis had crashes in Q3 at this track last year. Just tell us a little bit about how difficult it is to set the car up for this racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a combination of corners. Being on the hill, it's always quite exposed to the wind, so it's you get these moments where it catches you out. But it's the same for everybody. Last year wasn't our finest qualifying session, but we had a good race. And this year's going to be a different dynamic again, with the weather that may be here on throughout the weekend, with only the 1 practice session. So I'm excited to get going.
All right, good luck. Thank you. Nico, coming to you now. Let's throw it back to Canada first. Such a strong Saturday for you. Just how do you reflect on the weekend as a whole?
Yeah, obviously, what's the Saturday worth if the Sunday, goes the way it did? I mean, we were quite unfortunate with the timing of the safety car. That was pretty costly for me personally. But we definitely, it's a trend now that we've been struggling on Sundays with pace, with time management, with degradation. So it's something, we're aware of, we're working on, trying to, to get on top of the situation more. But yeah, obviously, a weekend with big contrast, a great Saturday, and then a more tricky, difficult Sunday.
But Nico, why do you think there is such a discrepancy between the pace of the car over 1 lap on a Saturday and its race pace?
Well, obviously in quali you get new tires all the time, and they don't get very old, and over 60, 90 seconds that the tire can sustain those forces and the grip quite well. But if you're talking a stint 20, 30, 40 laps, it's obviously a very different cup of tea and a very different challenge for the tire. So it just tells us something about our car. The characteristic we have, I think, doesn't suit that so much in race conditions. When we're in traffic, when we're surrounded with other cars, we struggle too much, and we're trying to address that.
So how confident are you coming into this weekend, because this track has been good to the team in the past, 4th and 5th in 2018, both cars in the top 8 last year? What can we expect this time around?
It's difficult to predict. It's a sprint weekend on top of that, so very busy, very hectic. Hopefully there will be some weather that can play into our hands. But yeah, it's something we need to see in a few weeks and months how we can address it and how much progress we can make. But it's not going to be an easy ride from here.
All right. Well, look, good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nick, coming to you. Hello, Dutch contingent. Hello. Now, Nick, can we throw it back to Canada first of all? It was a difficult one for you and the team in Montreal. Just how confident are you of turning things around here at the Red Bull Ring?
Yeah, I think I personally didn't do a good enough job. I think as a team we also struggled a little bit. It just shows that the midfield is very close. I think we're getting a nice replay of me and Kevin not breaking. But basically from P11 to P20 everything is so close that when you don't execute a good weekend it immediately puts you on the back foot, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with direct car performance or development. It's just a matter of not making the right calls throughout the weekend, and it was obviously a challenging weekend with different circumstances, rain qualifying. So it just showed how how competitive it is, and how tight it is. So I'm sure that we'll be back to where we were earlier, but we got to make sure as a team that we stay on top of everything, and obviously I also got to do my job.
But so what is the key this weekend to a better result? Is it just having a clean weekend and optimizing what you've got, or are you relying on the updates that you're bringing here?
I think optimizing what we've got. Obviously, it's a sprint weekend, so there is less time, and it will be a little bit more challenging, and there will be a little bit more uncertainty, especially with the weather conditions we just checked for Saturday. Yeah, I think executing the maximum out of our package will be crucial.
Now, it's one of the team's home races this weekend. Just how much more pressure is there on your time at a race like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a home race for everybody. I mean, for all of us. We are at the Red Bull Ring with Red Bull, but historically we have a lot of orange coming out for Max and supporting our dominating man. So I guess we'll see a lot of orange again this weekend, which will be cool.
Nick, I'm sure there'll be lots of support for you as well. Look, final one from me, and you're coming back to a track that you know well. What sort of difference does that make to you?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps to kind of know the track. It just gives you that bit of confidence to push right away, which is even more so important this weekend because we have such little track time ahead of qualifying. So yeah, I'm looking forward. Actually, to the next 5 weeks, we have 4 European races on permanent tracks, which we all know. So it's going to be a fun time ahead.
All right, have a good weekend. Thank you. If we could come on to our world champion, Max Verstappen. Now, Max, before we talk about this weekend, can we talk about mega trucks? Because
yeah, we can.
You raced one against Yuki Tsunoda recently. What was it like to drive?
Quite painful. I thought, the suspension would do a better job, but it didn't really. So I was actually jumping around quite a lot, yeah.
Well, look, let's bring it on to this weekend. I touched with Nick on it.
That was it? That was
that was it. I mean,
okay, all right.
Did you beat Yuki?
No, I didn't. Well, not in the race, but in qualifying I did. But I, of course, had a bit of a weight penalty.
That was it. That was the reason.
It's like 40 kilos, I think. So, yeah.
It looked fun. I've seen the video. It looked fun.
No, it was good. We had a good day, and we definitely laughed a lot. So that's, for me, the most important as well.
Look, brilliant. Now, let's bring it on to this weekend, which is, Max, it's a poignant one because it's the first Austrian Grand Prix since the death of Red Bull founder Dietrich Mateschitz. Are emotions running high this weekend?
Well, I think we've had already a few Grand Prix without Dietrich, of course, by our side, and you just have to face it. You have to deal with it, and we race also to make him proud and just carry on that legacy. So coming here, home Grand Prix, we always enjoy coming here anyway, and we want to win, definitely.
Okay, and chances of winning? The gap to second place was down to 9 seconds last time out in Montreal. Helmut Marko said after the race that it was to do with sort of the track temperature and things like that. Do you expect to be more dominant here at the Red Bull Ring than you were in Montreal?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, in a sprint weekend, so many things can go well or can go wrong. It's always very hectic, so I guess we'll just find out, honestly. I don't know, we can speculate about it now, but we'll find out on Sunday.
Okay, final one. There's a lot of orange in the grandstands, as Nick just said. Any message to your fans this weekend?
Don't get too drunk. Just watch the race, enjoy. And yeah, it will be good to see them. I mean, it's always nice to see the orange color next to the track. So, and I think also about this track is that on any grandstand you sit, you can actually see a lot of the track, and that makes it, I think, very unique.
All right, Max, thank you very much. Oscar, thank you for waiting. So, you're returning to a track that you know well. What sort of a difference does it make to you?
It's always nice to come back to somewhere more familiar. It's not guaranteed to bring results like we saw in Barcelona, but it'll be nice to have a few laps, and especially with one practice session tomorrow, it's nice to have a bit of prior knowledge.
Now, it feels like there's quite a lot resting on this weekend for McLaren because you're running updates. Just what is the mood in the camp ahead of what is a significant weekend?
We're excited. We've got upgrades on Lando's car this weekend. The plan was to have for both of us in Silverstone, but the team's done a very good job of getting one set forward for this weekend. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that performs. And of course, we've got a stable package on my side of things. We know exactly what it's capable of. So still try and get into the points and do what we can.
Okay, look, final one from me. For cricket fans out there, Oscar's been warming up with the Australian men's cricket team. You were in the nets at Lord's earlier this week. Just tell us about that. Scary?
No, they were taking it pretty easy. Either that or it's much slower than it looks. But no, they were really good guys. Nice to do something different, and I played quite a lot of cricket growing up. So yeah, very cool to see it up close. Go to Lord's as well. It's a pretty cool ground, almost as good as the MCG. But no, I really enjoyed it. The game is looking pretty close at the moment. So yeah, hopefully we can add another one to the tally.
Well, good luck with that and this weekend, Oscar. Thank you. Let's open this to the floor now. Name and publication, please.
David Croft, Sky Sports F1. Oscar, you'll be pleased to know England's batsmen are absolutely piling on the runs at Lord's, 46 without loss, and we are not even in the 11th over yet. But my question's to Nick. You were really honest when Tom was talking to you about your season so far and about the job you're doing. But when you hear comments from Helmut Marko, to the extent that I'm paraphrasing, Christian and I don't often disagree, but he didn't want Nick and I did, and maybe he's right. How does that affect you? Does it serve as extra motivation, or does it really upset you?
I think Dr. Marko would appreciate if I prove wrong on track. That's all I kind of feel about it, and what's within my control. So yeah, that's it.
And what can you do to make things better than on the track? Because as the races go on, that I would imagine leads to more and more pressure to get it right.
Yeah, but equally there is no need to force anything. I think whenever you are trying harder or trying to force something that is not kind of ready, then it won't happen, and then mistakes will happen. So I think the key is to just continue as we are and continue to focus on the job, remain patient, and then I think the potential is there. So it's just a matter of time for things to come together.
Sky Sports.
Well, the Sky Sports thing caught me by surprise there, as it's sure many did you. Okay, end of the first session then for 2023's Austrian Grand Prix. Just a reminder, it is a very different weekend. Tomorrow morning, we've got live coverage of Formula 3, Formula 2 practice. Then we go to Formula 1, their only practice session. That will then be followed by the Formula 3 and Formula 2 qualifying, then the Formula 1 qualifying on the afternoon. That will set the grid for Sunday's race. Then we'll have practice 1 from Mid-Ohio for IndyCar as well, with the IndyCar radio team providing coverage. Saturday, you can join us for the sprint race from Formula 3. Then we'll have the sprint shootout for Formula 1's qualifying. Then the F2 sprint race. Then the Formula 1 sprint race as well from the Red Bull Ring. Then in the evening, we'll have practice 2 from IndyCar, then followed with qualifying as well. Sunday's race day, simple. We get the Formula 3 feature, the Formula 2 feature, then the main Formula 1 Grand Prix, and in the evening, you can join us with IndyCar as well from Mid-Ohio. Then on USRN, you can also tune in to the NASCAR Chicago race as well on the street circuit for their first ever one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just a quick heads up as well, USRN are covering the Ashes test, England versus Australia. Myself and Tom Dillon will be on the call tomorrow as well. We've been covering it all throughout the week. Also, next week, Wimbledon starts for USRN and the British Grand Prix as well, coming up with some more coverage. It's going to be a different, fun weekend. Join us tomorrow for all of the action. My thanks to all of you for watching. My thanks to all of you for watching. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Ready for practice. Bye-bye.